Hey, this is Gavin Palmer with Hero Looking for Group, and today I had a conversation with my teammates about the election system. And so I have one teammate is currently based out of Pakistan and another teammate based out of Finland. And we had this conversation because yesterday there was some events that happened in the capital of the United States, which resulted in some people getting hurt and killed. And basically my proposal is something I've been thinking about for many years, and my proposal has something to do with improving our election system. And I suggested that the conversation about improving the election system should be very important, and that if President Trump was a good leader, he would convert this energy he has helped to create, he would convert it into constructive action, a constructive energy, instead of a destructive action or destructive energy. And I would suggest that the constructive action is to figure out how to improve the election system. So the reason that some people will not want to have conversations about this topic is because it has now become politicized. And I don't think that is a good thing, because it was a problem before the election. It has been a problem my entire life. And now it has become a subject matter that people don't want to talk about because of a fear as a result of the issue itself being politicized. And I think what that means is that if I were to talk about improving the election system in the United States, there is an immediate response within the minds of some people that I somehow believe that there was fraud in the election. And I don't think that's the appropriate response. Like, if that's what happens in your mind, then I would suggest that you need to do some work in your mind, because I didn't actually suggest that there was fraud. What I'm suggesting is that we can identify an election system which is more trustworthy. And so now I'm going to pivot into this idea of trust. And so I have an idea, or I've thought a lot about election systems. I think the President of the United States should be talking about how to do elections better, and should be forming teams and forming an organization in order to identify how elections should be done. And that could mean studying how elections are done throughout the world and throughout history, and identifying the strengths and weaknesses in those elections, and trying to see how scalable they are, and then running experiments at different scales to see how well they work. And ideally, it would be a very scalable process that could be used anywhere in the world, even those places that don't have the internet. That should be the goal, I think. And because the president is not talking about this, and the leaders and the people who are most popular are not talking about this problem and the solution, then I have to end up talking about networking and trusting and how to develop trust. So I have an idea, and I think it is a good idea. And I believe it needs to be in the minds of everyone who is interested in getting feedback from the population, so that the people are able to help decide what the government does. So if you want the people to help decide what the government does, then you have to have a mechanism by which we can gain awareness of what the people actually think, and that is an election system. And so in order for this kind of idea, like, to emerge as a signal above the noise, there has to be networking. So there are people who have an audience. There are people with popularity. And somehow the conversation needs to happen about this subject. And the way that it happens is that I can somehow convince you that it is an important topic, and perhaps work to develop a presentation that is convincing as possible, such that it can be shared and a network of people can help amplify the signal among the noise. And so these networks of people trying to identify signal and help amplify the signal, the question is, well, how does that develop? And so there can be a trust protocol, and people use it all the time. There is something called multi-factor authentication. Whenever you log into a website with some credentials, you might use your phone or your email address or something else to do another layer of verification. And so as you interact with other people in your networks, you can form connections, and as you desire trust, you have to also extend trust. And so one way I can extend trust is I can give you, for example, my email address. And then when I give you my email address, you can email me, which means that you had given me your email address. Or you could not give me your email address. So that's where that trust protocol can be broken to some degree. And then if you give me your email address, I can email you my phone number. And you can then send a text message to me on my phone number. I could then send you a picture of my driver's license or my Social Security card. So I can really begin to share information that proves who I am, and it kind of shows that I trust you. And what's beneficial about this process is, if I'm communicating with you in direct messages on some social platform, I don't necessarily want to share all of my information on one network. So I need us to hop into another network so I can use that space to share another piece of information. And then I can we can go to another space to share more information. And so in this kind of distributed way, you can gain access to information that could make me vulnerable. But the medium we use to exchange that information is distributed. So no single medium should have all of those pieces of information. So that's part of the process and the protocol. And then ideally what happens is, as people who trust each other develop their contact list, you now have another way to keep in touch with these people. So if one of those mediums goes away or becomes hard to use, you can always use a different medium. You can always connect and create your own medium. But that's the foundation, is that trust network. That's the foundation, and that's a protocol by which you can gain trust. And so as you build these networks of people in your contact list, you can then begin to take responsibility for identifying the signal and attempting to amplify that signal. And in that way, you can actually reach people. As a network, you can reach people who have more popularity, such that it grows as the idea spreads. And, it has to be a good idea, and it has to be presented in the right way. And so that is an essential part of the equation. So I hope you enjoyed the kind of high-level overview of a big problem like the elections, a solution, it's more like the process by which solutions are arrived at. And then another layer on that solution is the process by which humans can give trust and earn trust such that they can participate in networks that are growing with the intent of being able to amplify signal among the noise in order to contribute toward an education system. So I hope you enjoyed it. This is Gavin Palmer with Hero Looking for Group. Get in touch. I have a Discord server, and if we develop that relationship through a process, you may end up with my email address and my phone number and my driver's license and everything else. All right. Thank you for your time.